I haven't ever talked about it. Honestly, it just popped out of my mouth and I went, "Ooh, you just said that out loud, didn't you?" But I'm not ashamed of it. I mean, if anybody asked me, of course I would tell the truth.
Coming up on this episode of The Pipeline.
I remember that first day, I went into Sarah's office and I'm gonna be like, I I have no idea what my job is. And then Sarah was like, I have no idea what my job is.
And later we speak to actress Beth Grant, who will revisit some of her iconic roles and talk about how COVID-19 is affecting the entertainment industry.
They said, "Well, when you were walking, were you running?" I said, "Well, no, I was dancing." And they said, "Oh, wait a minute. We know what happened. You sprained your chest wall dancing. How were you dancing?" And I was going, "Well, I was going like this." And they said, "Oh, you sprained your chest wall dancing."
The Pipeline, Episode 4, On a Roll.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to an all-new year here in The Pipeline. I'm Ray Allen Fredericks, and this episode is going to be super exciting. We have actress Beth Grant joining us. But coming up this year, we have influencers, reality stars, authors, including Dr. Samson Davis, author of many books, including Living and Dying in Brick City and ER Doctor Returns Home, which is a part of the curriculum of many schools, as well as their reading list. So that's exciting. If you have questions for any of our guests, please post them on our social media at VCU Pipeline. Please welcome back my co-host, Miss Lorraine Lenore. And we have a special co-host today, someone who started the exact same day working for Virginia Commonwealth University, Sarah Rubino. Welcome. Hi, Maria, how was your break?
Yes, my break it was awesome. It was very relaxing and I spent a lot of time outside, which was nice. I really used it to recharge. That was what I was focused on doing. And, this is my first week back and I'm feeling ready to go.
And Sarah, what about you? What did you do over the holiday break?
Yeah, so I pretty much just hung out, watched TV, didn't really do much. I got to see my family, which I was really thankful for. That's all I really wanted to do. But yeah, just kind of ate food, watched TV, the best break.
It's such a different year because we didn't get to really go to any New Year's Eve events. We didn't get to go to, there was not much excitement in the air, but I feel like it was a time to reconnect with your family, even if you were remote. You kind of felt more obligated to call them, to spend more time with them on that day. Whereas I feel like if it was a regular holiday, you would kind of spend some time with them, but then try to like trickle off with your friends and stuff like that. So this was a year that we really rebonded. What resolutions do you have for this year, Lorraine? Anything, any goals?
I don't do resolutions, but one thing that I've seen that I wrote in my planner is 21, like WON. So this is just going to be a year of, I don't know, just victory. And it's not going to look anything like 2020. I am just speaking that out.
When I saw 2021, I really thought, like, why didn't I copyright this? It's like a perfect t-shirt.
Yeah.
What about you? Any aspirations, any goals? Do you do resolutions?
Oh, yes. I do resolutions. Do I stick to them? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I just have an overarching goal just to have more fun that I did in 2020. And I mean that in a safe way. So, have more hope for towards the second half of 2021 and saying yes to new adventures and doing new things. And making the most out of the year, knowing that, I wasn't able to in 2020. And especially, this is the first full year doing some of our programs. So switching into that role as, the program coordinator for virtual programs will definitely be a new task to tackle. But, I'm excited and coming at it with a positive mindset.
So I asked you to include the word roles there because we were going to smoothly segue into speaking of roles. Today, our episode is called On a Roll because we'll be talking about the different roles we play in life. And our guest has many roles that she has played. So we're gonna diving into what it takes to adapt to different roles. Larea, what are some roles that you have played in your life?
Yeah, I think currently right now, of course, I'm a mother and an employee, but I'm also a virtual teacher supervisor. I kind of add that to my list. I feel like I'm a cheerleader for my students, a teacher for for them as well, and a mentor. So definitely many different hats. Like even today when we're doing the marketing stuff, I'm like, okay, so that's something else that I didn't realize. Just so many different roles. And I feel like this job has allowed me just to do so many different things and not be so siloed in one specific niche. So that's really cool.
You have such an eye for detail. Like so when I was like, there's an extra space there, and you continually do this, like, and I'm like, how did she even notice that extra space? Like, I might be, like, I think I'm like, oh, it looks good. It looks good. And you're like, there's an extra space there. And I'm like, there is an extra space there. So, yeah, I think marketing, detail-oriented person is definitely a role that you can add to the resume. We do that a lot, add it to the resume.
As hashtag.
Sarah, what about you? What kind of roles do you play in your life?
Yeah, so um definitely I feel like I have less roles just because I'm, a younger person starting out in my career and in life. So really my really my biggest role is just learning how to be an adult for myself right now. But that obviously includes, the role as a friend, a daughter, and a girlfriend. And then obviously in my job as a program coordinator, I try to be positive and try to, you know, try to be there for, all the people in my life, my coworkers, my boyfriend, my family, my friends. So, you just your traditional roles.
You're a
Try to,
student. Don't
oh
forget
yeah, oh my gosh, yes, I forgot I was a
your
student.
master's degree.
I always forget about that. Yeah.
Um, so full disclosure, like I said before, Sarah and I started on the exact same day. I'm working for Virginia Commonwealth University, and I remember that first day. I went into Sarah's office, and I'm gonna be like, I I have no idea what my job is. And then Sarah was like, I have no idea what my job is. And I was like, Sarah, in a month, imagine this conversation when we're gonna just be doing things and we're gonna be like, and it happened like in a month, we were just fully into our roles. We knew exactly what was expected of us. And but that first day, I remember going into Sarah's office just so scared and not sure what exactly was going to happen. So Sarah, you're the high school's programs coordinator for our office, and tell us a little about some of the programming that you have done or you will be doing this year.
Yeah, so I basically help coordinate all of the things that are for I guess college and young, like but younger than college. So high school and middle school. And we don't do any elementary programs, but I'm sure if we did, I'd probably help do that.
Yeah.
But maybe in the future. So basically, the biggest program that's going on right now is Health Sciences Academy. And that is a program where we partner with 3 schools, 2 in Richmond Public Schools, and then 1 in Chesterfield County. And we kind of provide an experiential learning opportunity for them to test out all these different healthcare careers and learn from a plethora of different individuals and do, when we're not in COVID, hands-on activities and learn about healthcare careers and learn about being in college and get equipped with the success skills needed before you get to college. When we all went to college from high school, I'm sure we were all really lost. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you want to major in for the most part. Some people change their major, and that can get expensive, especially if you go into college thinking you want to do healthcare and then realize you want to switch to business because in high school you never really did anything that involved healthcare. So Health Sciences Academy kind of helps students figure out what they want to do before they go to college and make that decision. So they tour like School of Medicine, School of Dentistry, School of Pharmacy. They get speakers from people who are physicians, nurses, occupational therapists, physical therapists, even people who sell medical equipment. So a lot of different things. And I am basically doing all the coordinating of that. It's super fun. I really like working with teenagers. I feel like I am still a teenager at heart. They keep me hip and remind me that the things I think are cool are not cool at all anymore. But we also do many other programs. There's Governor School, which is sponsored by the Virginia governor. And that is hosted. We like co-host it. It's sponsored at VCU. And that is an application program. It's super competitive, but I encourage anyone to apply. And then we also just do little events, probably more likely when it's not COVID happening, for high schoolers and middle schoolers to participate in. But if you want to look more into all the programs that we offer, I forgot to mention all the middle school programs, Healthcare Quest that we do. Lorraine and I plan it, but you can go to our website, or you can email us at dhsd@vcu.edu.
Definitely. I'm really excited for people to get to know our programs through this modality, but also just I want our programs to become so popular that students get more opportunities. It's going to spiral so much that everyone's going to be getting an opportunity to experience healthcare and make those decisions earlier. What I'm really happy about today is that we have a special guest who's played many roles, and we'll bring her in and introduce her. Hello, Beth.
Hello. How's
So
everybody?
good. I'll just go into a little introduction and then we'll get started. So first, I just want to say I selfishly reached out to you because I'm a huge fan. I was like, oh, I have this platform for this podcast, and I'm going to reach out to people that I am huge fans of because I'm going to try to get them on here selfishly because I just want to get to know them better. So I'm going to preface my introduction by saying, yes, we're in a pandemic, but creating a shorter version of your bio was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. You've done so much. So I'm going to go ahead and give you my 2 lines. So today our guest is an iconic actress whose work speaks for itself with roles in Speed, Donnie Darko, The Office, The Mindy Project, Little Miss Sunshine, and words on bathroom walls. And that's just, I would say 1% of what she has done. You can never question her commitment to sparkle motion. Please welcome iconic actress Beth Grant. Beth, how are you doing?
Good. I'm happy to be here. We're all surviving this
Thank
insanity.
you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the pipeline. So what we do here at Virginia Commonwealth University is we just expose students to programs that will help them appreciate healthcare, have interactive experiences. And this podcast is meant to promote that, but also we want guests from different backgrounds in order to show that healthcare is not just clinical. It's also, it can be in any avenue, and everyone needs to be healthy, and wellness is important. So we just have guests from different avenues, from authors, reality stars, yourself, actresses. So today, where are you, and how are you staying safe during COVID?
Well, I'm in my living room with my puppy. We had some noises outside. I think it's calmed down, and she was barking, and I was trying to say, quiet, it's okay. I said, of course, just as I'm going on. We still have our Christmas tree up. I'm looking at my Christmas tree. We have been here sequestered since March. I have worked, and you said you might want to talk about some of the protocols that we're using in showbiz. I was reluctant to work, and there was a whole deciding process that I went through, and it took quite a bit for me to decide, but we got through it, and I have an offer that's pending right now, and I'm thinking, what are the dates? Because right now we're, the hot spot of the country, I think, Los Angeles County. And so I am none too eager to get back out in it. And, God bless you guys that Virginia is doing its share of the, getting the word out, because I love Virginia. I've been there many times, and I have a sister-in-law who lives in a little tiny town in Virginia called Bristol. I don't know
Oh,
if you.
I have a house in Bristol.
Oh, you
It's Bristol, Abingdon. So Abingdon and Bristol are like borders, and so Bristol is a really cool city. It's like split in the middle by Virginia and Tennessee.
Yeah.
So it's really nice. You can stand in both states.
I think she might now live on the Tennessee side,
Okay,
actually.
Oh,
Her
it's
wow.
really
husband
easy to
passed
do.
away, and she got another little house, and I think she may be on the Tennessee side now. Yeah, so I've been there, and I almost went to barter instead of going to New
Oh,
York City in
wow.
when I was graduating from college. There was a guy named Rex Partington who was the artistic director, and I think they probably still have a program there um, of internship. And it was a question: do I go to Abingdon or do I go to New York? And I ended up going to New York. I have a movie called Child's Play 2, a horror movie. I haven't done a lot of horror movies, but I did do Child's Play 2. And we had the premiere in Richmond, actually.
Cool.
Oh,
The writer is from there. And then Donnie Darko, the writer of Donnie Darko, is from Richmond. So
wow.
I've worked with two Virginia writers, at least two. And then there was a writer I worked with named Romulus Linney, who is Laura Linney's father. And he premiered at the Museum Theater in Richmond. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but we went to the premiere. I wasn't in it, but we went there. And my mother drove up, and it was all very exciting. So,
Richmond's such a fascinating city. It's a mixture of cultures. There's food, there's theater, some nightlife, not enough nightlife, but but yeah, the Bard Theater is such a great theater for up and coming actors who just want to like um, better their craft. I've seen so many plays there that are just, I think, are comparable to what's on Broadway. And these actors
yeah, I'm
have
sure.
auditioned, not well, obviously, because I'm still here, not in your shoes, but it's a very difficult process to audition and get into the barter.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Well, a friend of mine, Chelsea Mercantile, uh, went to Juilliard in the playwrights, but she started at Barter, and her husband was the lighting designer. And a couple of her plays were done there. And then she went to get her master's degree at Juilliard in playwriting, and she's in Los Angeles now. And she's worked at, the theater in Louisville, but she's like one of the best writers around. Gregory Peck started there. So very famous theater. That's neat.
Lorraine, did you have a question for Beth?
Yeah, so, being that we've been in these COVID times for almost a year now, it's crazy. How have you focused on self-care? Because I know that for a lot of people, this has just caused a lot of anxiety and just isolation. So what have been some strategies you've implemented to focus on?
Oh, wow. Well, one thing I've done, we're fortunate we have a pretty big yard, and I'm immune compromised. I have a blood cancer, actually. And so I can't, just go out willy-nilly. I have to go out with great precaution. I'm not even comfortable like walking in my neighborhood, because, you run into people that don't have on masks, and then people get too close and all of that. And then there are bicyclers that come by, and, they've had those studies about, I'm sure you've seen the I've forgotten the name of the little tiny molecules coming from behind the person on the bicycle or the runner. And I go, oh my God. So my husband made a little walking path for me in our yard, and I walk for about 45 minutes, not every day, but I try to do at least 3 or 4 times a week. And I put in my ear buds, and I put on music. And I'll tell you a funny thing that happened last summer. I having a really good time one day, and that night I started having severe chest pains, and this medication that I'm on, which is I'm so fortunate that with science is so awesome these days, that I'm able to take what is a chemo pill, and I take it every day. So I haven't had to have like the heavy duty hardcore stuff. And one of the side effects though can be AFib. And so anyway, that night I started having severe chest pains, and then it didn't get any better. And I said, oh my God, am I having heart issues? And I took my blood pressure and it seemed to be high, but of course I was nervous. Anyway, long story short, ended up going to a cardiologist, having a complete workup. They couldn't find anything wrong with me. And so then they're talking about, well, when did it first start? And they said, well, when you were walking, were you running? I said, well, no, I was dancing. And they said, oh, wait a minute. We know what happened. You sprained your chest wall dancing. How were you dancing? And I was going, well, I was going like this. And they said, oh, you sprained your chest wall dancing. So my oncologist laughed so hard. He loved it so much because he always wants me to, attitude's so important and exercise is so important. And so he says, okay, you can tone it down a little bit. You don't have to go crazy with this. But I love to dance. I think my attitude is very positive. So I would say keeping check on my attitude. I have therapy once a week with a therapist that I've seen off and on for many years, almost 30 years. Not all the time, but just, when necessary. And so obviously I can't go to her office anymore. So we talk on the phone. And then I have a group of girlfriends and we meet 3 times a week. There are 9 of us. And recently we did let somebody else come in, which was so funny because somebody got in touch and said they wanted to join us. And we were like, oh no, we didn't mean to be exclusive. I mean, we didn't talk about it. I said, how did she even know about it? But somehow somebody had mentioned to her that we were doing it. And then well, of course she was welcome, and people, but not everybody was for it. And I said, look, we can't do that. We can't be like a little club in the 8th grade where you don't let people in. If somebody wants to join us, I said it'll be different, but maybe it'll be better. We've been through we've been through death. One friend's brother died, and he didn't have COVID, but he did have Alzheimer's, and he had to go to a special care residence and was isolated, and she feels sure that contributed to his death because he was very depressed, and they did everything they could and people would visit, but he was in a strange environment and didn't know why he couldn't go out. And anyway, he did pass away, and then one of the couples broke up, and she still is processing that because she didn't really see it coming, and he broke up with her on text. I mean, all those horrible things that you hear. And this is a woman 71 years old.
Oh my God.
And so this wasn't like, a 16-year-old, and her boyfriend was that same age. But anyway, so we've been through that. We went through my heart scare together. They all were like waiting to get the results and everything. And then they loved it so much that it was dancing.
And
Right.
I just wanted to say, I know you're like, I've not seen anything about you being open about this blood cancer that you have, but I just want to say that I'll be thinking about you. I'm praying for you. I want you to get better, stay healthy. How were your healthcare professionals? Like, do you have any examples of your healthcare professionals that are helping you through this?
Oh, yes. I mean, my team, I just can't get over it. I mean, I thank God every night, every morning. That's the other thing. I meditate much more now, since I got the diagnosis, which was, I haven't ever talked about it. Honestly, it just popped out of my mouth and I went, "Ooh, you just said that out loud, didn't you?" But I'm not ashamed of it. I mean, if anybody asked me, of course I would tell the truth, about who I am. And I did have to tell Goliath that I was immune compromised because I wanted them to know I was really serious when I was asking these questions. This wasn't just some casual thing of me asking. But yes, I am with UCLA Network. And I'm very fortunate to have excellent insurance through my union, through the Screen Actors Guild AFTRA. And I know not everybody is that fortunate, but through them, I also am with the UCLA network. And so my primary care physician is a UCLA doctor, and everything is on one portal so that all of the doctors see everything. And so when I was first getting tested for this, every test I would do, any doctors that I had could go on the portal and see the results. And I also have a palliative care doctor who sort of looks over everything, and he helps me with side effects that I might have. And then I have an oncologist, and then I have now a cardiologist because of dancing too much, and then I have a rheumatologist because one of my side effects is something called Raynaud's, which is super cold hands and feet. And then I have a little bit of arthritis, and so she stays on top of everything. And then who else? Oh, and then I had to go get an evaluation from a neurologist to see if I had neuropathy, and I didn't. Most of my side effects and symptoms were caught in time, so I'm actually doing extremely well. And the kind of cancer that I have is called Waldenstrom's, which is very rare. Only about 1,200 people per year, 1,200 to 1,500 people per year in the United States are diagnosed with it. So that's considered very rare disease. And of the 7,000 rare diseases, there are only 7 who have dedicated medicine for that disease. And I'm one of those. And so these oral chemo that I take started with a drug called Imbruvica, and that was developed through research at Harvard. And so I feel like I'm lucky, 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 lucky. And I think in a strange way, I'm healthier now than I've been in many years.
I'm glad you're staying positive. Your humor's still there, and you're not letting this control your life. And I'm really excited about that. Well, what I want to go into is some of your roles, and we'll just talk to them about it a little bit, and then we'll talk about Goliath and what you have coming up.
Okay.
And so first, I want to preface this next question by saying you were part of one of the most awkward, uncomfortable, and iconic moments on television, and I love it. So Sarah, I'm going to let you answer because Sarah is a huge fan as well.
Yes. So when Ray texted me asking me to join, I capital letters sent, "That is my favorite episode of television, and it is the dinner party episode of The Office." I am so sorry that Dwight left you on the side of the road.
Oh.
I just rewatched it on New Year's Eve because I was just like laying there with my boyfriend, and we knew The Office was gonna get off Netflix, and I was like, well, we may as well ring in the new year, ring it in with like the best episode of TV. So
you're not alone.
Yeah.
You have very good taste. Rolling Stone picked it as the #1 episode of the decade.
Oh my
Really?
God.
Oh man, I love that.
So
Hilarious.
you're not alone. And a lot of people, it is so demented. That episode is so demented. And it's really sort of different than a lot of the episodes because you really go into intimately with Steve Carell's character's personal life, that you didn't really know all that stuff. And when he talks about sleeping on the foot of the bed like a puppy, I love all that so much. Well, I will say this too, that okay, he left me standing there on the bus stop, but he did bring me back their last season to interview for junior executive position. Me and a lot of other people. I didn't get the job, but he did bring me in for a job interview. So he sort of made peace with me later. But I think you have very good taste. I think you have very good taste. And I had the best time doing that episode. I had worked with Greg Daniels on a show called King of the Hill. I played Hank Hill's mother, Tilly.
Oh, the cartoon?
Originally done by Tammy Wynette did it originally, and then she passed away, and I was fortunate that I got to replace her. And then I did other characters too, and I did a bunch of those episodes. But I knew Greg, and there was a Writers Guild strike, and he ran into me on the strike. We were on the picket line, and he had just seen No Country for Old Men, and so he thought of me for this role on The Office because of No Country for Old Men, I think. It's not the same character by any means, but anyway, I was in his mind. And so they kindly offered me that role, and I was just so thrilled. And I had worked with Steve in Little Miss Sunshine. So I didn't have the usual fear that one might have going on a hit show, because I knew him, and I knew him pretty well, and we liked each other. And we had done the original shoot, and then we had done a pickup scene out in Ventura. That last scene in Little Miss Sunshine where they leave and they burst through the gate of the parking lot and they go off down the road and you can hear the horn beeping. And I'm sitting in the car going like that. That was shot as a pickup shot later. So we had a chance to even get to know each other better, on that day. So anyway, I felt very comfortable with him, and Greg I knew. And so I didn't have a lot of anxiety about it. I loved everybody so much and everybody was very welcoming. But I am telling you, I got so tickled on that set. I thought I would pass out trying not to laugh. I didn't want to be the guest star that screwed up a take because I was laughing. And Steve saw that I was almost laughing. When I'm standing at the thing and I'm holding the thing, the cooler, Steve went for it. And he just was abusing me, just saying all these bizarre things and trying to get me to laugh. And my head went down. He said, "Oh, now she's crying." So I didn't break, but I came this close. And of course they didn't use all that, but he was just torturing me.
Oh my God.
And I said, so there's a benefit for him being my friend, but then there's also, he had the freedom to do that. I don't think he would have done that to just any guest star. So, and I got so tickled at Rain. There's so much that you didn't see that was because they improvised so much. And Paul Feig, who directed so many big comedies, Bridesmaids and so many other movies, and as an actor himself had directed that episode. I got home and at the end, I said, "Michael, I don't know how they're going to cut this." There were so many improvs, but they did. They cut it beautifully and they got everything in just enough. But like when Rain was eating the food and he's going, that's all they had. He did it a lot. He kept going, I mean, on and on. And I got so tickled at that. And I was sucking on a beat at the time. And I'm sucking that beat, trying not to laugh. But they cut it brilliantly. And it's just a fabulous episode. I just love it.
Have one of the most expressive faces, and I think you don't even have to speak sometimes. It's just hilarious when you make your emotions, when you emote on your face. And when I was reaching out to you for this podcast, I messaged you on Instagram, and and you were like, "Yeah, let's do it. Email me." And then I was like, "Oh God, here I'm gonna do it." I'm like, "So what's your email?" And I completely expected you to be like, "Email." Email. Loretta, did you have a question for Beth?
Yeah. So, the students that may be watching this, they, I tell them about networking all the time. It's so important. And you kind of alluded to how you had previous relationships with, some of the actors and how that helped you get some other roles. So, do you have any advice on networking that you could, share out with anybody who's listening?
Well, yeah, I mean, people make the world go round. And I think that attitude is very important in any job. And this morning I heard a speaker, I listened to podcasts too. And she was, I wrote it down. Let me see. Get my notes out here. I have a little notebook and I write down things I like to hear. And then I write down my feelings and stuff. I think that's super important. But she used a phrase I thought was so good. Oh, here it is. It says that her prayer is to keep me humble, keep me, oh my God, I didn't finish the word. It starts with an H, something. But then the third part, I wonder what that was. Keep me humble. I bet it was something about a sense of humor because I'm very big on that. But then show me how to be of service. And that's what I underlined is being of service, because I think it took me a long time to understand that, especially in show business. It was all about me getting attention in the beginning and being a winner. And I was going to do this and I was going to do that. And then somewhere along the line, I was going to a really fancy party, Hollywood party, and there are going to be all these big shots there. And I was so scared. And I called a friend of mine and she said, Beth, this is no big deal. This is what you do. You go there and you try to be of service. And I said, are you kidding me? These people are so rich. They live in Malibu in this huge house on the beach. They don't want my help. You go there and you find that hostess and you ask her if there's anything you can do to help. She may say no, but she may say yes. And she knows at least somebody tried. And then all night long, you look for the people who look uncomfortable and you try to listen to them and make them feel better. And just go up and ask them how they're doing and then listen to them. Don't just tell them about yourself, you listen to them. And that was many, many years ago, and I still do it. I still do it. And it gets my mind off of me. I'm not thinking about myself and trying to impress people, but I'm really trying to help somebody else feel better. And I'm really trying to be of service. And then I'm out of myself. And guess what? Sometimes maybe I was of service. Not always, I'm sure, but that's sort of my key. And then you make friends too. And like when I'm working, like when I did that series, Mindy Project, he was talking about earlier. Well, I don't know. I think he emailed me about that. He mentioned it or something. Anyway, that was a hard job at times for me with my ego. Why? Because I hardly had any lines. And but I loved her, Mindy Kaling, so much. And I thought she was such a genius. And I wanted her to be a superstar. And I really did. Before I was a regular on the show, I had made a vision board with just her picture on it because I had guest starred on the show and I was so impressed with her and I saw what she was doing, writing, starring, producing. And I thought, oh my God, how's she going to do this? And so I came home and she was on the cover of Emmy magazine and I took that picture and I put it on a vision board and I put it behind my cabinet. And I didn't do it for me. I did it because I wanted to give her my spiritual support. That's the truth. And then who knew I would end up being a regular? It sort of gave me the spook. I got spooked out when I said, oh, wait a minute. I didn't mean that. But I really wanted to be of service to her on that job. And on those days when I didn't have much to do, I have one line and I'm sitting there, I thought, why are you here? You are not here. This is not the Beth Grant Project. This is the Mindy Project. You are here to be of service to her. What can you do to do that? Well, you can make her guest stars feel better. The people that are on the show, they don't know people. You can be nice to them. You can go over to the craft service and you can say, is there anything I can get you? Or you can just not be a nuisance. Sometimes just get out of her way and let her do her, whatever it is that is being of service. And that job for me really taught me a lot because I started out just to be of service to her voice because I thought it was a necessary voice and I wanted her to be heard. And in the end, she was of service to me because it was such a great job. I learned so much about comedy. I learned so much about what it was like to run a show, observing her. And it truly helped my career too. And
Yeah.
that's not why I wanted to do it. So it's an ironic twist that's what I consider networking now is being kind, being loving. I remember once too saying in front of Mindy something bad about myself. I don't know what, like, oh, I'm just so mad at myself. And she said, Beth, I always try to speak very kindly to myself. And I was like, oh, wow, that's a big one. Because at that time, I didn't always speak kindly to myself. I would get very angry with myself about things. And I never forgot that. And if I hear myself getting ready to me, I think, no, I want to speak kindly to myself. And I literally, now that I'm old, talk out loud to myself. And I'll say things like, and I'll call myself by my childhood nicknames. And one of them was Becky Boo. And I said, oh, Becky Boo, that's no big deal. You can clean that mess. That's not a big deal. Oh, come on. And I literally do it out loud now. And that sort of started from Mindy. So I learned a lot from her and I'm forever indebted to her.
And speaking of the Mindy Project, I think like I can't even remember you not having lines. I always thought that you were like the breakout star of the show because I first know about you and became a fan from Chawang Fu. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. But after that, I saw you pop up on the Mindy Project, and I was just like, yes, this is the worst nurse in the world, and I'm living for everything you say. And it was such a character that you were present in a majority of the office scenes, and I always look to you to see what how are you reacting to this insanity. So how was it playing a bad nurse?
Well, the lines were so
Bad
brilliant.
nurse.
I mean, it was honestly, I'll tell you the whole truth of that job. In the When they first called about the audition, my agents had made a gotten confused, and they thought Greg Daniels, who did The Office, was the executive producer. And I said, "And I have to audition?" I said, "That seems strange to me. He knows me very well." And I told my agent, I said, "I think there's a mistake because if he wants me to audition, I'm not going to get the job because he knows me so well. Something's wrong here." So they checked back and they said, "Oh no, he has nothing to do with this. It's just Mindy Kaling from The Office." So that was a
Mm.
mistake. And I said, "Okay, well, she doesn't know me. She wasn't on that particular episode. So, okay, I'll audition." But I was in a bad mood. I was mad at my manager, and then the casting director was a friend of mine for years. I'd been friends with her. And I thought, well, why is she making me audition? I just had a chip on my shoulder, which is not what I just told you about the way to approach a job. But that's the truth. I'm human. And I drove to this audition. It was a long way away. It was way in Santa Monica. I live in the Valley. And I got there and I walked into audition, and my friend Jeannie, who was casting it, said, "Let's get Beth a prop. She needs a prop." And I said, "Jeannie, a prop? I've never been asked to have a prop in an audition in my life. What are you talking?" She said, "You need a prop. Get her some almonds or something." So they brought me this little dish of almonds. And I said, I was so angry about this, having to use a prop. So and as I was auditioning, I would pick the almonds up and throw them in the air and catch them in my mouth. And it was because I was so angry. Well, it's perfect for Beverly to have a chip on her shoulder and to be angry. And I've always thought that her insulting me and giving me those almonds is why I got the job. And when I met Mindy for the first time, she was so gracious and she said, "Oh, we just couldn't believe that you auditioned." And I said, "Yeah, me either." I mean, I just was in that character. And after that, I thought, I shouldn't have said that to the star of the show. But I just had Beverly going on. And so I think, and I had to break her nose in that first episode. You wouldn't think that that character would ever be back. But Mindy saw, I guess, an obstacle in that character, and she saw how that character could develop. And God bless her sweetheart for seeing that. And yeah, they just gave me that every line. Every line was so great. Like I'd had an affair with Bernie Sanders in Moscow, all this insane stuff. So that it was pretty easy. Once I wrapped my head around it, I fell in love with Beverly, and I couldn't wait for the next script to see what crazy things she was going to say. And then at the end, she gave me a full character arc. She gave me this beautiful thing where I got to not only meet my son, but be the grandmother to his children. And, we sort of got to live happily ever after, which I didn't see that coming at all. And so I was very grateful that she gave Beverly that, opportunity to have a good life.
One of my favorite lines is when one of the doctors was wearing a skinny jean and like fitted shirt, and you were like, "Why are you wearing a wetsuit?"
Yeah, I just saw, my daughter just showed me a picture from that on something she saw, and I said, "Why are you wearing a wetsuit?" That's why we just did that last night.
It's
Yeah.
such a good show. So we'll try to wrap up here in a few minutes. One of the tear jerkers. I literally watched this because I knew I was going to interview you, and I cried at this movie so much. It was Words on Bathroom Walls. Oh, it was so well done, so creative. What I know a lot of it deals with mental health and schizophrenia. And I'll let Sarah ask her question about it. But I'll let her ask her question, and you can speak on just what it was, how to make that project, and being Sister Catherine. Sarah, you can ask her question.
Yeah, so as an actress, how do you like separate yourself from the character you're playing?
Oh, that's just such a good question. It was not always easy at all. I had to really learn how to do that. In fact, I argued with my acting teacher about it because I said, "How am I supposed to take this, for drop it?" Because he would always teach us, and then you drop it. You don't take it home, you drop it. But I would take it home. I would. And I did this play called Trials and Tribulations of a Trailer Trash Housewife, and it was about a battered wife who kills her husband. And it was tough. It was tough. So I feel that in life, this is a channel. So if I'm an artist and I'm channeling something, then I'm telling this character's name, for instance, in this domestic violence was Willa Dean. So I'm telling Willa Dean's story. And
Mhm.
that's parts of her that I identify with. And so if I were a writer, same thing, I would be channeling her, letting the character speak through me, but she does not become me.
Mhm.
And same thing as a painter, I would think. I'm sure when a painter's painting, there are all these things from the universe and what you've observed in life, and it's channeling through you. And I knew women like that, and I did research and I interviewed women who were survivors of domestic violence, and I interviewed them and I talked to them and I let them tell their stories through me.
Mm.
But I could not allow them to take over. So I guess it does get to do with mental health. And I think because of that change, I think I have better mental health now. There used to be this thing that, oh, if you're an artist, you have to suffer and you have to be uh, self-destructive. And I think, I was taught that by a lot of people, well-intentioned, and it's not true. I just don't think it's true. I think that you can be very healthy. And I'm sure if you're working in mental health, I think that about my therapist every once in a while. I think, my God, all she does every day is listen to people's problems. But I think that part of the thing with being a therapist is, that in helping them, you're helping yourself, I think. And so we're all in this together, aren't we?
Yes.
you know, Whether we like it or not. I used to quote who I thought was Jim Morrison. I thought Jim Morrison had said, "We're all in this together." So I would say, well, like Jim Morrison always said. And I was lucky enough, I was working in Paris and we went to visit his grave and I took pictures and I posted it on Facebook. And I said, I've always quoted him, "We're all in this together." And a friend of his read my post and wrote me and said, he never said that. That's Carole King. And so
That's funny.
all these years I've been quoting Carole King, but Carole King's great too. So
Mhm.
Well, thank you for answering that. And yeah, I totally agree that you do sound so self-aware. And I think it's important for people to understand how it's a journey. Um, like you said, you have to learn how to work out and you have to learn how to eat healthy. And I think with Instagram, social media, you just see the end result and you don't see the journey, the path that each person has taken. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us. But I am interested in knowing what other things do you have coming up in
oh
2021?
well, I will say words on bathroom walls. I don't know if I ever really answered that part of it, was that I learned a lot from that. And that I did say to them when they sent me that script, I said, I don't want her to be just awful. I want her to have some soul and heart. And so we were able to, they were very kind and they gave her, I felt at the end when he is speaking. Oh, if anybody hasn't seen it, then maybe I better not tell the ending. But I will say that I found opportunities to bring her humanity. And I think even though she is, the principal of the school, she does have his best interest at heart. And I think that the filmmaker was kind enough to give me opportunities to show that. And I did think that the writer of the novel, had done such careful research, and it's a great young adult novel. Julia Walton, the writer, I think it's a great book to read, and I would suggest it. You don't have to be schizophrenic to feel different. And I certainly felt different and in high school, and I didn't talk about it to people, I just felt it. I never felt a part of, even when I was a part of, I didn't feel part of. And I had a lot of loneliness in high school. I really did. And, I skipped school a lot, and I didn't go do anything fabulous. I just stay home and overeat chili. I mean, I was like, I just stayed at home. And I had mama was working and this and that. And so I think it's a great movie for people in high school to see, because you don't have to be schizophrenic to have issues that you need to seek guidance with. I have another one out now called Wander Darkly, and it's about a couple that have a terrible car crash, and the woman has brain damage, and it's her road back to health. And it's beautiful, and it's a woman director, writer, producers, just all women, and I think it's really fabulous. And then I have Goliath coming out. I think they're almost done with the episodes. I think there were 8 episodes, I think, and I'm so proud of it. It deals with prescription drug issues, and it's beautifully written, and it's truth telling, and I play the judge. And as I say, it was hard for me to decide to go to work. And honestly, if these scripts weren't so compelling and these stories not so important, I wouldn't have done it. If it hadn't been Billy Bob Thornton, and then it's Bruce Dern, J.K. Simmons, all these fabulous actors, and I play the judge. And I'm on 5 episodes, and my birthday was the day that Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away, and I had already been learning my lines, even though I hadn't closed the deal on the show. And I couldn't decide, do I take a chance with these protocols? And I had asked them a million questions, like, who's tested, and what is social distancing like? And, they test the A group. They operate in bubbles, and they test the A group 5 times a week. They test the B group now 3 times a week. They had all these protocols in place. We had HEPA filters in our trailers. They had UV light, and they had the circulation, special vents put in on stage, and everybody was masked and shields, and we would only take our mask off for the take and then put it back on. And, they were doing a lot of good stuff, and the meals were packaged, but I was still so scared. And I went back on getting my IVIGs, which obviously most people wouldn't have to do anything that drastic, but I did do that. And then the day that it was my birthday, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I'd just gotten word that she had passed away, and my agent called and said, okay, you got to make up your mind. And I, believe it or not, I had a picture of Ruth Bader Ginsburg on my workbook. And I'm looking at this workbook, I'm looking at her picture, it's my birthday, and I thought, okay, I think this is God's will. The universe is saying, go do this job. It's an important script. It's your old friend, Billy. Oh, and Jenna Malone's in it from Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
And I had scenes with Jenna. So all of those things I trusted, and I did it. And I'm glad I did it. I think it's going to be excellent. I think you guys will, especially doing the kind of work that you do, I think you'll be very happy about it. It'll be something you can refer to for people to see, learn.
I think
You know,
if I had to go and do a scene safely, I would want to be the judge, because you're so far away from them. You're on a pedestal. You're away from everybody.
Yeah.
So that's like a perfect role
Yeah, that's true. I didn't have to be too close
Yeah.
to most people. Yeah, and I did my own hair and makeup. They let me do that. So, occasionally there would be somebody would come over to talk, and I had to be careful, but yeah, everybody was very respectful. And you're right, being up on that podium helped.
Beth, I just wanted to say that I wanted this. I've looked at a lot of your interviews, and I just wanted this one to be different than anything else. And I think we truly did it. You were so vulnerable. I want to appreciate all the information. Like I said, we're here to share stories with our students on how healthcare is affecting everyone, how health professionals are so important. And I think you really showed that today. And I appreciate you. I'll be praying for you. I want to say thank you again. We'll forever be fans. We'll forever be watching what you do. And I will be checking up on you from time to time. So
Good.
don't get annoyed. But again, thank you so much for joining us here on the pipeline. And if there's nothing else, I just want to wish you have a good night.
Oh, well, I'm just thrilled to meet all of you. I feel so close to this group. I mean, I really do. And yeah, I'm honored to have been here. I will say I'm taking mental health break from social media right now. So you
Okay.
have to email me. I'm not going to be checking on Facebook for a while. I just
Okay.
decided Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You guys can still, I'd love for you to follow me. I'd love to hear from you. It'd be my honor. But I'm going to take a break for a while. It's just all been so much, and I try to answer people because I want to. I want to embrace people who are watching my work. We're all in this together. Here I am again. We're all in this together. So anyway, I feel very close to you guys, and I send you all the love in the world. And I wish I could give you a big hug and keep doing the good work.
Thank
I'm
you,
proud
Beth.
of you.
And if you want to follow Beth, you can follow her on Instagram at Beth Grant Actor, also on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you,
And
Beth.
I'll be back. I'll be back. I just needed a little break. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
See
you
you
so
later.
much. It
Bye.
was so great meeting you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank you all so much.
Bye.
I don't want to hit leave.
Don't leave. Oh,
Okay, love her.
she was so great. Love her.
Good.
So thank you all for helping me through this episode. We had Miss Lorraine Lenore, the Assistant Director from the Division for Health Science Diversity, Sarah Rubino, the High School Programs Coordinator, and we didn't have any Pipeline alum, but they will be back to co-host with us in another episode here in the Pipeline. So if you want to have more information on our programs, please visit us at dhsd.vcu.edu or email us at dhsd@vcu.edu. And we will see you again right here in the Pipeline. Bye.
Bye.